Well, this collection, Europa, is the work of 3 years, and there is an underlying theme of, as it were, the matter of Europe. It's not a book about Brexit. I mean, superficially, you might look at it like that, but it's really about the Europeanness of our historical, cultural, economic reality and the recurrent crises that we've endured and continue to endure. And within that, there are poems about the uncertainties of the political situation in which we find ourselves, not just vis-à-vis Brexit, but more generally in relation to the individual and the state and to corporate affairs and so on. And there's also other poems which don't necessarily at first sight seem to be connected with it, except that most of the poems share a kind of presiding anxiety, even poems that are quite ostensibly remote in subject. You need to set out, as it were, what the major key of the book is going to be at the outset, and then develop it, then have a kind of change of tack, like a second subject in music, and then somehow hope to resolve it with some kind of imaginative flourish at the end. I'm always interested in responses. I do quite a lot of poetry readings. I've done a great many over the years now, and it's interesting to see how audiences respond and what excites them and what might amuse them, or the ones that people want to ask questions about. So yes, I mean, if there was no audience, I guess I would be writing, because that's what I seem to do. But I think there is some live connection between the poem on the page and then the poem spoken aloud, and the audience that comes to listen and to discuss it. I like the page. I like the live presence, of an audience that you can speak to and talk to. I always recommend to people, with my teaching hat on, that you should be reading it aloud anywhere while you're writing it. Even if you're on the top of the 19 bus and you might be dragged away in a straitjacket, you need to be reading it aloud. Just hear the shape of the sound. And that's another thing. Speaking something into the air, in a reading somewhere, in a lecture theatre or an art centre or a theatre or something, that tells you something more about the poem. It tells you sort of adjustments you might make.